and the point of difference between this and most training approaches. The sub 3 marathon, an aspirational goal for so many long distance runners. And in this video,
I'm going to take you through how I went from my debut marathon of 3:37 at London in 1999 to 2:56 7 years later in 2006.
So debut marathon in 1999. How long had you been running by then to get to that stage?
I started running in 1997, having had a health scare of a collapsed lung. But this health scare made me realise I needed to do something about my health and fitness. So as a child, I was passionate about running. So at the age of 34, I decided to take the sport up again.
So what did take you at running actually look like?
Well, initially I found a loop that was close to home. And because I was already a gym user, I had kit. So I didn't need to go out and buy anything special. So I chose a day to go and do that loop. And I thought, oh, this will be quite easy because I'm gym fit. But no, it wasn't easy. I came back and my head was pounding. I had to stop several times and I realised I wasn't as fit as I thought I was.
So going from hardly being able to run around the block to completing the London Marathon 2 years later and a very respectable debut time of 3:37, what did your running progression look like?
Initially, I built up to running 3 days a week. It would just be on that same loop that I tried on the first run. So I built up to running about 20 miles a week. So I entered some local races, the longest being 10 miles. So I then progressed to a half marathon distance. And like many, I watched the London Marathon on TV and I was inspired by it. So I thought, why not give it a go? So I entered the ballot.
So that was not the end. It wasn't even the beginning of the end, but it was perhaps the end of the beginning.
Did you get that? 'Cause I didn't.
So you've got up to the half marathon distance, you've secured yourself a London Marathon ballot place, so what is the next chapter in your marathon story?
So yes, I joined a running club and that was my first introduction to structured speed work.
And where did that structured speed work take place?
In fact, it took place on this very promenade. So by joining a local club, I was then introduced to a lot more experienced runners than myself, and they told me that I could probably break 4 hours for the marathon. So I then followed an off-the-shelf plan which had me peaking at 57 miles, and I was absolutely delighted to then nail the marathon in 3 hours and 37 minutes.
So 3:37, pretty impressive debut. So what did progression look like after that?
To be fair, it wasn't great. So over 4 years I managed to get down to 3:26 and then I seemed to plateau.
So why do you think you plateaued after such a good debut?
I think because I was doing the same thing time after time, following probably the same plans.
So keep doing the same thing, kept getting the same results. So the next chapter of this story is how Dawn got from that 3:26 logjam in 2003 down to that extremely impressive 2:56 in 2006. So hang on, we have 11 minutes progression over the course of 4 years and then half an hour's progression within the next 3 years. That's pretty tasty stuff. So next we're going to unpack how that dramatic improvement came about.
So I've joined a running club and I've run a few marathons. So what did I do next? The next thing that progressed my running was joining the Runner's World Forum.
Yes, that was in around the year 2003. Now at the time there wasn't a great online running community. This was like the first seeds of it. So it really was a case of reaching out there and finding out about other runners, how they did their training.
That's right, and at the time it opened up another world of running to me. There was guys on there who were running up to 100 miles a week. Now I didn't think that was possible for anyone other than elite runners.
Can you remember who one of those guys was? Yeah, I think for you at the time it was, wow, there are people out there running more than the regulation 30 miles a week or 50 to 60 miles if they're doing a marathon.
That's right, yeah. So yes, as the Runners World Forum progressed, an opportunity arose for foreign members to take part in an online coaching programme, which was under the guidance of one Mike Grattan.
That's right, for those of you unaware, Mike Grattan won the London Marathon in 1983 and is a well-known and well-respected running coach.
So I put my name forward and I was one of the lucky 4 who was able to take part in that project.
That's right, I think the brief you gave Mike at the time was to get you a sub 3:15 marathon, which would have qualified you to run off the championship start at the London Marathon.
That's right, I'd already entered the Cardiff Marathon, which was in the autumn of 2004, and I really wanted to break that 3 hour 15 barrier and get myself on that championship start.
Yes, that was quite a brave way to be coached, because it was an online running thread and Mike gave you his advice publicly and you responded to it publicly and put your runs up for all to see, and there were quite a few people on there who would always chip in with commentary, wouldn't there? And queries and challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something I'd never done before.
So what did Mike Grattan advise you to do that was different to what you'd done previously?
I was advised that 1, I needed to slow my general runs down because I was running everything within a very small band. 2, I needed to increase my volume, and 3, I needed to develop my speed endurance.
Yes, I remember at the time, because I was one of those who followed the thread, that when you started, a lot of your running was in that what we call zone 3,
Yeah.
neither slow enough to enable you to be fresh for your key runs, nor fast enough to be a specific training benefit at the upper ends.
That was me.
That was many people.
So I put into practice the advice Mike gave me. I reduced my speed on my general training runs into zone 2. I increased the volume, so eventually I was running 70-mile weeks during that training block, and naturally my speed endurance improved.
So Cardiff Marathon 2004, what result did that bring?
Oh, beautiful. 3 hours, 14 minutes and I think 58 seconds, but I will have to check that.
So well within inside that 3:15 goal then.
Yeah.
You might know how to time it.
I remember coming into Cardiff Stadium and looking at my watch and thinking, my goodness, I need to really put my foot down. So I did, and I think sprinted around that last bit of the course.
So many people looking for advice on how to break that 3-hour marathon mark often think in terms of fancy sessions, funky sessions. So what sort of specific sessions did Mike have you doing?
So there was no funky sessions. I was doing 1 kilometre reps and 400 metres, 400 metre reps. So I built up to doing 15 times 400 metres.
So it really was a case of get the basics right. Easy runs easy, hard runs hard, variation of paces, and nail the race. The workouts are the icing on the cake, but what really broke that logjam for you and knocked a further 12 minutes off your marathon time was slowing down your general runs and massively increasing your volume.
You've got it.
So I've made that big jump of 12 minutes down to 3:14, but we've still got 18 minutes to go to that 2:56. So what are the next steps?
Yes, so the following year I ran 3:06 in London Marathon, and that was because I continued to follow the same principles, keeping my general runs in zone 2, making sure I was consistent with my training and running doubles most days.
So 3:14 to 3:06 accounts for another 8 minutes. So we've got a further 10 minutes to find between London Marathon 2005 and London Marathon 2006. So I guess between 2005 and 2006 you continue to layer up that training, but I think there's one particular thing you did that not many marathon runners put into their training. So can you tell us what that was?
Yeah, I'd read that if you did the complete distance of the marathon in training, it gave you some benefits. So on Sunday, I started doing double runs that made up the marathon distance. So I might go out to do 20 plus a 6.2 or 21 plus whatever I needed.
That'd be 5.2 done.
Thank you, John.
Yes, I think doing those doubles on long run days is Dawn's USP here. It's something I tried once or twice but wasn't really for me. So let's find out a little bit more about how she went about them. So I found her. So tell us a little bit more about those long run double days. How often did you do them?
Well, I probably did at least 2 a month. And one of the ways that I reduce the risk of injury is that second run on a Sunday would often be done on my treadmill.
So softer surface, less impact. And on that injury point, I think that was quite a long period without being injured.
That's correct. Yes, that's right. I believe by reducing my pace and running most of my general runs in zone 2 was keeping me injury free. And also running on the treadmill reduced that risk of injury.
So finally the big day arrives, 23rd of April 2006. What do you remember about that day?
I remember being excited. Ideal conditions. We woke up to light rain, cool. But like anybody else, I was a little bit nervous as well. But as we know, nerves can be good at the start of a race.
So you'd recently run 1:24 for the half, a PB. So indications were you were just under 3 hour shape. So what was your strategy for the race?
Well, my strategy was to be relaxed and run to feel.
So not running to a set pace or heart rate then?
No, I've always run my best races when I forget about the watch and I just run to how my body feels.
So sub 3 pace is about 42 minutes per 10k, and they have 10k markers in London, and I was stood by the first one, and so you go through in low 41s. I thought,
I thought, tasty, let's keep going, see how you can do. Actually, I felt really good. I knew in myself that the pace I was going was the right pace. Yeah, so I ticked off another 3 41-minute 10Ks during that marathon, working really well with a good group, and came in 2:56 and 2 seconds.
fueling strategy for the race?
Well, I used the SIS Go gels and I had 4 of them, one every 10 kilometres.
And they are still the gel of choice right up to this day.
Absolutely. If it works, don't change it.
So, 6 steps to a sub 3 marathon.
Number 1, having a plan. That kept me accountable for that first training block.
Step 2, joining a club, having people to train with and draw on their marathon knowledge.
Step 3, reaching out to a wider running community. For me, it was joining the Runners World Forum.
Step 4, get some coaching, having that one person with a direct line of sight on your training.
Number 5, increasing volume by keeping my easy up runs easy and being able to nail those harder runs.
So point 6 and the point of difference between this and most training approaches were those Sunday long run doubles.
So I hope that you've got something out of this video, and if you've got any questions at all about my training or nutrition during that block of training that led me to the 2:56, then please pop them in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer them.
So if you have learnt something from this video, please give it a like. If you're new to this channel and want further training, racing, parkrun and coaching updates, then please consider subscribing. So until next time,
Keep on keeping on.
keep on keeping on.